If your heart races at the mention of Saw, you're a true horror aficionado. In 2004, James Wan and Lee Wennell brought us Saw, a psychological horror film that forever changed the genre. With its innovative storytelling and spine-tingling psychological themes, Saw introduced us to the infamous Jigsaw, a character as iconic as he is terrifying. The film's success was nothing short of explosive, spawning numerous sequels and making Saw one of the most profitable horror franchises of the 21st century. But what really set Saw apart was its ability to blend intense suspense with a mind-bending plot, keeping audiences on the edge of their seats from start to finish. At its core, Saw isn't just about gore and shock value, it's a twisted exploration of morality and survival. Jigsaw's elaborate traps and moral dilemmas force characters and viewers to confront their darkest fears. So next time you hear that ominous tape recorder click, remember, Saw isn't just a movie, it's a masterclass in horror, and that's what makes it unforgettable. Have you ever wondered how one of the most iconic horror franchises, Saw, came to be? Let me take you on a journey back to the early 2000s, where two friends, James Wan and Lee Wennell, were about to change the horror landscape forever. James Wan, known for his work in short films, and Lee Wennell, a writer and actor, were struggling to make a mark in the film industry. They had a dream to create something truly terrifying, a story that would not only scare audiences but also make them think. The concept for Saw was born out of this desire. It all started with a simple yet chilling idea: two men trapped in a room forced to make unimaginable choices to survive. This core premise would lay the foundation for what would become a horror phenomenon. Wan and Wennell knew they had something special, but convincing others was a different story. In 2003, they decided to create a short film, essentially a prototype, to showcase their concept. Made on a shoestring budget, this short film was a raw and gritty glimpse into the twisted world they envisioned. The plot followed two men, chained in a grimy bathroom, with a sadistic voice instructing them to make life-or-death decisions based on their past sins. This short film was their golden ticket. It captured the attention of producers who saw the potential in their dark and disturbing narrative. The short film was just under 10 minutes, but packed with enough tension and horror to leave a lasting impression. The success of this short was a crucial turning point for Wan and Wennell. The producers who watched it were intrigued and believed in the potential of expanding it into a full-length feature film. With newfound support, they set out to bring their vision to life on a bigger scale. In 2004, Saw premiered, and it was an instant hit. The film's unique blend of psychological horror, moral dilemmas, and brutal traps captivated audiences. It wasn't just about gore. It was about the choices people make when pushed to their limits. The twisted games, the iconic character Jigsaw, and the unforgettable twist at the end made it a landmark in horror cinema. But it all goes back to that initial spark, the collaboration between two friends who dared to dream big. James Wan and Lee Wennell's journey from a low-budget short film to creating a horror empire is a testament to their passion and creativity. So next time you watch a Saw film, remember the humble beginnings and the untold story behind its creation. It's a reminder that sometimes the scariest stories come from the simplest. With the success of the short film, Wan and Wennell were able to pitch the idea for a full-length feature to various production companies. They eventually partnered with Greg Hoffman, who, along with partners Mark Berg and Oren Cools, formed the company Twisted Pictures. The company agreed to fund Saw with a modest budget of around $1.2 million, which was relatively low for a horror film at the time. The film was shot in just 18 days, primarily in a single location. The majority of the film's budget went into the set design and practical effects, creating a gritty, realistic environment that matched the dark tone of the story. The iconic bathroom scene where the two main characters, Dr. Lawrence Gordon, played by Cary Elwes, and Adam Stanheidt, portrayed by Lee Wennell, are chained to pipes in a filthy, abandoned room, was filmed on a set that resembled a real crime scene. The claustrophobic setting became one of the defining elements of the film. Wan and Wannell made a conscious decision to use a minimalistic approach to the plot, focusing on tension and psychological horror rather than relying on gory or gratuitous violence. This approach, combined with the film's dark and gritty aesthetic, helped set Saw apart from other contemporary horror films. Create a YouTube video about the film centers on two men, Dr. Lawrence Gordon and photographer Adam Stanheidt, who wake up chained in a decrepit bathroom. They are instructed by an unseen figure, known as the Jigsaw Killer, to play a twisted game. Both men must follow a series of cryptic instructions if they want to escape the room alive. Meanwhile, the story alternates with scenes of Detective Tapp, played by Danny Glover, and his team investigating the crimes of the notorious killer, who does not directly kill his victims, but instead forces them to engage in sadistic, life-threatening games to escape. The true villain of the film is revealed to be John Kramer, a terminally ill man who has become the notorious Jigsaw Killer. Jigsaw does not directly murder his victims, but places them in situations where they must make difficult decisions to survive. His philosophy is that people who take their lives for granted need to be taught a lesson about the value of life. His character is central to the entire franchise and remains one of the most famous villains in horror history. Upon its release on October 29, 2004, Saw was initially a modest success. Despite its low budget and limited distribution, the film became a cultural phenomenon. It grossed over $100 million worldwide, making it one of the most profitable films in terms of return on investment. This success was propelled by strong word of mouth, a clever marketing campaign, and the film's intense, suspenseful nature. Critics were divided on Saw. Some praised it for its psychological complexity, disturbing premise, and the originality of its twist ending. Others criticized it for its excessive gore, grim tone, and reliance on shock value. However, the film's impact on the horror genre was undeniable. Saw helped usher in a new era of torture porn films, characterized by graphic violence and psychological horror, a trend that would dominate the horror genre throughout the mid-2000s. The film's ending, which featured a shocking twist revealing that Dr. Gordon had been the real last victim all along, was particularly memorable and helped cement Saw's place in horror movie lore.